Peeps, welcome to the studio. I'm about to do another Q&A for you guys. Yesterday night before I was about to go to bed, I got an awesome message from a viewer out there named Andrew Song. Andrew, thank you for reaching out. Andrew's currently deciding to go into plumbing, and he had a bunch of questions for me, and I thought it might be appropriate to do this on video, on camera, so the bunch of you who have similar questions to this can get the information out there. Andrew: Hey Kenny, I've been watching all these vlogs mainly for the plumbing aspects. I'm coming out of high school soon, and I'm really looking to get into the trade. The local union isn't taking intakes right now, so I'm kind of stuck debating over various pathways. I don't know anyone, even relatives, that are in the trade, so I don't have any connections to help me out and take me on as an apprentice. Would going to a community college and taking a regular plumbing techniques course be the best option for me? Is it worth it? I'm also living in downtown Toronto near George Brown, which is another big reason I'm loving your vlogs. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Andrew. Any advice on pathways or general plumbing career advice would be great, man. Also, how's the trade doing in Toronto? I don't expect to be making heaps of money right off the bat, but I want to know that I will have a somewhat stable career in the long run. I'm not the most academically gifted, but I'm a damn hard worker. Anyways, thanks for any advice. Keep making these vlogs. Andrew, thanks for reaching out, man. There's a lot of questions here. I'm going to try to answer them systematically like I've done in my other Q&As. We're going to a community college, and taking a regular plumbing techniques course be the best option for me? Is it worth it? I get this question a lot. So here's the part about plumbing that doesn't make a lot of sense, and I think a lot of trades are dealing with the same sort of hurdle here. Everybody wants a licensed plumber. If you're not licensed, they want a third or fourth year apprentice. If you're not a third or fourth year apprentice, they don't want you. You know, there's that weird little gap in there where all of a sudden you're questioning yourself as a new apprentice. How am I going to get this experience if you're not going to give it to me? So in other words, you go up to a bunch of plumbing companies, and most of them are saying no to brand new first year apprentices. So that's the loophole that you're going to be struggling with right off the bat. So here's the bottom line. If you want to be a plumber and you can't get work as an apprentice, you can't get hired and actually registered as an apprentice, then you're looking for work with a plumber. If you can't find any work with a plumber, then it's worth it to go to a plumbing techniques course. Because at least inside that course, they're going to go through theory with you, and they're going to get some hands-on work with you where you're going to be acquainted with the tools and the concepts and, you know, maybe the speed and just the theory in general. So in that instance, it's absolutely worth it. If you can't get hired as an apprentice, if you can't find any work, go for that. That's important. I suggest doing it. Now, let's just play devil's advocate. What happens if you can get a position as an apprentice? You don't need the pre-apprenticeship. What happens if you can find work working with a plumber and you sort of get to watch them work? I don't think you need the pre-apprenticeship either. And the reason why I say that is because when you're working on the job site, that's the best possible experience that you can get for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it's not really necessary to go ahead and go into the pre-apprenticeship. If you can already be registered as an apprentice, you're laughing, because that's where the hours actually count. You know what I'm saying? So if you ever had to choose between an actual apprenticeship and a pre-apprenticeship, don't waste your time with the pre-apprenticeship. Go straight in for your hours. That way you can start accumulating them, and that way you can get licensed faster. That's the whole point of the game. If you can find somebody to work with, and in general you find that they're pretty good at teaching you stuff and it's useful to you and your knowledge, I would say do that before going to school. And the reason why that is because hopefully this person can eventually take you on as an apprentice, can register you as an apprentice. You have to make sure when talking to companies that you're definitely in that conversation about, can you license or register me as an apprentice? Because if they can't, then there's a limitation to what that person can offer you. They can teach you plumbing, but they won't be able to ever get you those hours you deserve. So that's another thing, a factor that you got to be aware of. Let me keep reading. Also, how is the trade doing in Toronto? I don't expect to be making heaps of money right off the bat, but I want to know that I will have a somewhat stable career in the long run. So how's the trade doing in Toronto? Let me explain the general feeling I get about plumbing in Toronto. For example, my father and I, who are a very small service company, what I've noticed, and I've talked to a couple of buddies of mine that are also in the service industry, and we have ups and downs. You gotta be aware of that. Like, there are times in the season where it just dies for some reason, where you're not getting work for 1 or 2 weeks, and you're sitting back going, what's going on here? It's like the whole world, the whole town, the whole city decided, nah, we're gonna hang off of plumbing for a second, and we're gonna deal with something else. You know, there are moments like that that'll definitely scare you. That's natural, okay? But eventually everything catches up to it, and all of a sudden you're getting called off the hook, and there are moments where you're going, my goodness, I don't know if I could keep up with the work. So you also have that side of the spectrum as well. In regards to new construction, it's the same sort of thing where you have ups and downs. The union jobs tend to have moments in time where you're not working at all. So there could be months, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month spans. I have a friend who works high-rise new construction that right after school didn't get back into work till 4 months later. So he had to stay on EI the entire time. And that is just the nature of the job. So that happens with union work as well. So look, plumbing seems to have these ups and downs. It's something you gotta just sort of bear with. But in regards to having a stable future, a licensed plumber at this point, I think for union, would make $45 an hour. $35 to $45 an hour. And that's unionized. So I'm sure it could go even higher, and I'm sure as the years progress, it'll get higher and higher and higher. You're gonna make lots of money in that field. It's gonna be hard work, of course, but it's great opportunity. And if you go on EI at $50 an hour, you're still making pretty good money. You know what I'm saying? Service companies, I think service companies are always a little bit behind the union. Just because the nature of union and non-unionized companies. So I think a service plumber, for example, would be making between $30 and $35 an hour, could even bump up a bit higher, $38, $39. It depends on the company, obviously. But financially, $39 an hour is pretty healthy. Even $35 an hour is pretty healthy. So stable future, plumbing is always going to be something in demand. That's what I've learned in the years that I've been in it. That's what I've heard from people who have been in it for a very long time. It's a trade, and a trade is absolutely necessary in developing areas. You hear me? And on top of that, if this place isn't developing enough, or it doesn't have development as much, then there are places out there that'll hire you, import you, put you up in a house, give you a place to stay and have you work there. And you also got to understand, it really comes down to what you decide to do with the plumbing afterwards. For example, if you want to open a business and you want to build that business up, there's obviously more potential to make more money when you take on that pursuit, rather than just being a journeyman that makes his $45 an hour every single year. You know what I'm saying? So it really comes down to you and your ambition. General career advice. Here's what I want to give you. We get a lot of phone calls from apprentices or people that want to be taken on as apprentices. There are a lot of men and women out there looking for that spot. And that spot seems to be so hard to get. So you have to be prepared that it's going to be very tough to get your foot in the door, okay? What I think you should do is, the moment you finish your final exams this year, I assume you're done this year, the moment you finish your final exams, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the yellow pages and you're going to go to any of the newspapers you can get your hands on. And you're going to go and look for plumbing companies, okay? And you're going to look for ones that are especially hiring. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to open up a book or get a piece of paper or go online and type this out. You're going to write all their names down. You're going to write all their phone numbers down. And you're going to spend the next couple of months literally just calling these places and finding out if they can take on any apprentices. Now, there are two questions you're going to ask them. Number one, are you taking on any apprentices right now? A lot of times you're going to get no's, okay? But the next question is, how about general laborers? And the reason why I say that is because, okay, maybe they're maxed out in apprentices, but if you get in as a general laborer and you help them out in that way, it's potential that once an apprentice is licensed, oh, look, there's a spot. And Andrew's been here for 3 months. He pretty much knows what he's doing right now. You see what I'm saying? So that's what you're going to do. That's what I suggest doing, at least. So call these places. Write down what they say. So if they said call back in 3 months, it's there. That way you can highlight it and call them back in 3 months. And you're going to do this for all the companies that you can get your hands on, okay? After that, what you're going to have to do is start looking into the pre-apprenticeship programs that you want to get into. So George Brown has one. There are a couple of colleges, I think, out east and out west. I'm sure there's a bunch of them around town. You got to look into those and find out which ones suit you best. So you're going to find out about that. You're going to find out about the application process, and you're going to find out about how much it is, okay? That way you can start saving up to it. And that's all you're going to do for the next few months, okay? And the reason why I say that is because that's the only way to market yourself. That's the only way to get yourself out there. And be warned, I'm telling you right now, most companies, or a lot of companies, knock on wood, for you, I don't want to jinx you, a lot of them are going to say no problem. So here's what I want you to do. Just be prepared for it. They're going to say no. It's cool. You're going to call the next one. They'll probably say no. It's cool. You call the next one, and you keep going until you get a response that you like. Now, if somebody says we are looking for general laborers, I think you should go for it. And the reason why I say that is because you need to get as much knowledge under your belt as possible. If that's sweeping up job sites, that's what it is, man. And let me tell you honestly, in the first year that I was working with my dad, the only thing I did was I cleaned pipes and I cleaned up the job site, and I sat there watching him. It was boring. I didn't feel like I learned a lot, but in actuality, it was sort of like Mr. Miyagi going wax on, wax off. So that is what plumbing is for the first couple of years. It's literally you doing the slave work while the journeyman is doing the actual work. So that's the game plan that I sort of devised. I want you to take it, make it your own, do whatever you want with it. But if you cannot find work for month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, and September is coming up, that's the time where you got to start considering, okay, look, I haven't found any work. I was calling plumbing companies all the time. Let's get into a pre-apprenticeship program. Let's take this on so we learn a little bit. And then once you're done that, you're going to go back to the exact same game plan. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I want you to realize. If you went 3 or 4 months and people said no to you, you took on as many jobs as possible that wanted general laborers, and then you went to your pre-apprenticeship and they never hired you after that as well. Your next step is to actually start showing up to these plumbing companies. I think it's important to walk in there, shake a couple of hands, say, look, my name's Andrew. This is what I'm here for. I'm looking to be an apprentice, but if you don't have an apprentice position, I wouldn't mind being a general laborer for the time being. As long as we have an understanding where as soon as it opens up, I get to be a registered apprentice. Here's what I know. I came from George Brown. This is what I can do. This is what I understand. Is there a potential opening for that? That's going to be the next step, okay? If you really, really work at this, I think it's possible to find a place. Honest to God. And I know you were looking into the union. Continue looking on their website. Find out when they have applications and whatnot. See if you can get your foot in the door that way, because that also is going to be a great opportunity for you. So Andrew, I hope this information helped. I know it's a lot, and I haven't edited this video yet, and I hope it doesn't come out jumbled. But I hope I got all the answers out that you needed. If there are any more questions that you have and I haven't answered something to your liking or to your need, just send me a message back and we'll be back and forth. Peeps, if you guys have any questions, by all means, feel free to message me in the comments below. Ask me anything. It could be about plumbing. It could be about magic. It could be about drones. Whatever you guys are thinking, I'm totally opening to hearing your thoughts and answering your questions. And if you want to do a Q&A, go on to Twitter, ask me a question with the hashtag AskKennyMolotov, and I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as I can. All right, peeps. Andrew, I hope that helped. Let me know, and I'll see you guys very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.